If you've misplaced your keys, missed an appointment, or blanked on something you know you should remember, that does not automatically mean something is seriously wrong. These are often signs of what's called age-associated memory changes. And while they're common, they are not something you just have to accept. Often what we're experiencing is not disease, it's a signal that the brain is under-supported. Welcome to RenewHer, a podcast for women over 50 ready to reignite their energy and explore what's next. I'm Janelle Lemley, brain fitness coach. Here, you'll hear real stories from women taking on new challenges after 50, along with brain health tips to boost focus, energy, and the mindset to move forward with confidence. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to RenewHer. Today, I want to talk about something that doesn't get said out loud, but sits in the background for so many women. What if the thing you fear most about aging isn't aging at all, but losing your mind? For so many high-achieving women, that's the quiet fear in the background. Not death, not even illness, but cognitive decline. Losing your sharpness, your clarity, your ability to think, lead, contribute, and feel like yourself. And this isn't just something I've read about, it's something I've heard firsthand. A few years ago, when I was interviewing women about their top 3 health concerns, all but one mentioned brain health. Often because one or both of their parents had experienced some form of cognitive decline. It's actually one of the reasons I started down this path. And it's also what makes this next part so important. And here's the part I want to start with today, because it's both grounding and empowering. Cognitive decline is not inevitable. Yes, changes can happen as we age, but there are so many things within our control that can slow it down, prevent it, and in many cases, even improve how our brain is functioning right now. I was recently listening to a podcast that really reinforced this idea that your brain deserves the same level of care and attention that you give to your heart or even your teeth. And that perspective stuck with me because we don't just hope our heart stays healthy. We move, we eat well, we monitor things like blood pressure, we take action. We don't just hope our teeth don't fall out. We brush, we floss, we go to the dentist, we handle issues early. And yet, when it comes to our brain, many of us take a passive approach. Actually, may not really even think about it until something feels off. But your brain is an organ. It's made up of cells that require oxygen, nutrients, rest, and stimulation. And when those needs aren't met, your brain doesn't function optimally. It's that simple and that complex. Today, I want to walk you through a different way to think about brain health, a more empowering, proactive, and realistic way, one that doesn't rely on a single solution, but instead embraces what's called a multidisciplinary approach. This multidisciplinary concept is supported by many renowned physicians, many of whom specialize in brain health and neuroscience. Because here's the truth, there is no one magic fix for your brain. Just like you wouldn't treat heart disease by only focusing on cholesterol, you can't optimize your brain by only focusing on one area, like diet. Your brain thrives when multiple systems are supported together. We're talking about factors like blood flow, inflammation, sleep quality, stress levels, nutrient status, and mental engagement. All of these are interconnected, and when you support them collectively, that's when you start to see real change. And I think this is where many women may get stuck, because when you hear that there are many things you should be doing, it can feel overwhelming, like you need to overhaul your entire life overnight. But that's not how this works. This is about small, intentional shifts that compound over time. Before we get into what that looks like, I want to normalize something. If you've ever walked into a room and forgotten why you're there, if you've misplaced your keys, missed an appointment, or blanked on something you know you should remember, that does not automatically mean something is seriously wrong. These are often signs of what's called age-associated memory changes. And while they're common, they are not something you just have to accept. Often what we're experiencing is not disease, it's a signal that the brain is undersupported. In fact, sometimes your brain isn't declining, it's simply overloaded, undernourished, or overtired. Because in many cases, these lapses are connected to lifestyle factors. Things like not getting enough sleep, chronic stress, poor nutrition, overworking, vitamin deficiencies, even things like hearing loss or lack of social interaction. And that's where we need to shift the conversation. Because instead of assuming decline is inevitable, what if we started seeing brain health the same way we see other areas of our health? Proactive, responsive, and within our influence. Now, one of the most empowering things I've learned, and something I want you to really hold on to, is this. It's never too late to start. Every small action you take today is what you could call a deposit into your future brain. You're either supporting it or you're not. I love this analogy I heard. Your brain is like a car that's overdue for maintenance. It's not that it's broken beyond repair, it's that it needs attention, an oil change, new tires, fluids topped off, a few adjustments. And when you take care of those things, the car runs better. The same is true for your brain. There are many things that can shrink the brain. There are health factors that can significantly impact brain health, things like high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and chronic inflammation. Each of these affects the brain in different ways. High blood pressure, for example, can damage blood vessels over time, reducing healthy blood flow to the brain. Conditions like diabetes and obesity often involve blood sugar dysregulation and insulin resistance, which can contribute to inflammation and even interfere with how brain cells use energy. And because your brain is incredibly energy dependent, that matters. Chronic inflammation is a major underlying contributor to cognitive decline, as it can gradually damage brain cells over time. In addition to health factors, many lifestyle factors can shrink the brain as well. For example, a sedentary lifestyle. A sedentary lifestyle can limit circulation, so your brain may not get the oxygen and nutrients it needs to function optimally. Then there's a poor diet, lack of sleep, chronic stress, and more. All of these can wreak havoc on your brain. All of these conditions and lifestyle factors create an environment where the brain simply isn't able to function at its best and can contribute to cognitive decline over time. But here's the encouraging part. Your brain is incredibly responsive and malleable. It has two powerful capabilities that are often talked about together, but are actually different: neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. Neuroplasticity, it's your brain's ability to rewire itself, to form new connections and adapt based on how you think, what you do, and what you experience. Neurogenesis, on the other hand, is the creation of new brain cells. Both are happening throughout your life, and both are influenced by your lifestyle, which means you are not stuck with the brain you have today. At any age, you can influence it, you can strengthen it, you can support it. And that's where I want to shift into what this looks like in a practical, manageable way. Because while the idea of a multidisciplinary approach might sound complex, it doesn't have to be complicated. I want to walk you through 5 of my core pillars from the RenewHer framework and how each one plays a role in supporting your brain. And more importantly, I'm going to give you simple, realistic actions you can start with. Not a complete overhaul, just small steps. Because the goal is progress, not perfection. Let's start with move. Movement is one of the most powerful tools you have for brain health, if not the most powerful tool. When you move your body, you increase blood flow to your brain. That means more oxygen, more nutrients, and better overall function. Exercise has also been shown to support memory, reduce inflammation, and even promote the growth of new brain cells. But this doesn't mean you need to spend an hour at the gym every single day. Here are some simple ways to start. Simply move your body, and all the better if it's something you enjoy, as you'll be more apt to do it. Play pickleball or tennis. Go on a walk. Walk when you can rather than drive. Take the stairs rather than the elevator. Instead of looking for a parking space closest to the door, park at the farthest parking space from the door so you can get in more steps. And if you're already moving every day, congratulations, your brain is thanking you. Next is nourish. Your brain is incredibly energy dependent. It requires the right nutrients to function well. Poor nutrition can contribute to inflammation, brain fog, and reduced cognitive performance. And again, this isn't about a perfect diet. Here are a couple of simple but not always easy steps. I will admit they're not always easy, but they are simple. First, take out the bad and put in the good. Simple, right? So first, cut back on ultra-processed foods and sugar. I could do actually an entire podcast on this, but for now, just know they can have a significant negative impact on your brain. And begin adding more whole, colorful foods, leafy greens, berries like blueberries and blackberries, and healthy fats like omega-3s. Focus on what you can add, not just what you need to remove. Next is relax. Chronic stress is one of the biggest disruptors of brain health. When you're constantly in a state of stress, your brain is flooded with cortisol, which can impact memory, focus, and even brain structure over time. So here are a couple ways, simple ways again, to support this. Build in 5 minutes of intentional breathing or stillness in your day. It doesn't have to be long to be effective. I'm always amazed at how quickly a few deep breaths can calm my body. And create just small moments of pause, stepping outside, sitting quietly, maybe with your coffee, or just simply unplugging for a few minutes where you're not looking at your computer, you're not looking at your phone, you're simply, if you want to say, being quiet. Next is rest. Sleep is not optional when it comes to brain health. 7 to 9 hours is ideal. I used to live on 4 to 6 hours of sleep when I worked in corporate. I thought I was handling it fine. I didn't think it was affecting me. But once I left and started getting more sleep, I realized how wrong I was. I thought more clearly, focused better, my brain processed faster. At the time, I simply wasn't aware of how much that lack of sleep was costing me. I didn't know the difference until I experienced otherwise. It's during your sleep that your brain clears out waste, consolidates memories, and resets for the next day. Poor sleep is one of the most common and most overlooked contributors to cognitive issues. So again, here are a couple of simple but not always easy actions you can take. You need to be intentional. Set a consistent bedtime, even if it's within the same 30-minute window. And create a simple wind-down routine. Dim the lights, put your phone away earlier, or do something calming before bed. And finally, discover. Your brain thrives on challenge and novelty. When you learn something new, try something different, or engage in meaningful mental activity, you're strengthening and creating new neural pathways. You're keeping your brain flexible and engaged. Again, 2 simple ways. Try something new regularly. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe a new recipe, a different routine, or even brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. It's more difficult than you think. I've tried it. And engage your brain intentionally. Read, do a puzzle, listen to something thought-provoking, or have deeper conversations. Now, you may be listening to this and thinking, this is a lot. And you're right, it is a lot if you try to do everything at once. But that's not the point. Trying to do everything at once often leads to doing nothing at all. The point is to choose one area, one small action, and start there. And then build from there. because small changes done consistently create real impact over time. I want to circle back for a moment to how we care for our teeth. It's not one big intervention, it's daily brushing, flossing, routine care, addressing issues early, and over time, those small actions add up. Your brain works the same way. You don't wait until there's a major problem. You support it along the way. Because when you support your brain, you're not just preventing decline, you're enhancing how you live right now. Your clarity, your energy, your confidence, your ability to show up fully in your life. And if something already feels off, if you've been experiencing more brain fog, more forgetfulness, more mental fatigue, that's not a reason to panic. It's a signal that your brain may need some support. And the good news is there's so much you can do. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to follow some extreme protocol. You just need to start, because your brain is not something to fear. It's something to care for. And when you do, you give yourself the opportunity to stay sharp, engaged, and fully alive in the years ahead. So my challenge for you as I leave you today is to pick one thing from what I mentioned out of my 5 pillars that you could implement this week and start your way to changing and improving your brain. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for joining me for this episode of RenewHer. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Take even a small step toward what's next. If you found value in what you heard, please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a woman who's ready to take her next bold step. Together, we're building a community of strong, resilient women, navigating what's next with courage and purpose. Until next time, stay energized and keep embracing what's possible.